and we'll come around and help you with some of the solutions. Or if you're having problems, just shoot your hand up, and then we'll all look at the answer together. So we'll get kicked off with the first question, which is pretty basic. Or first, any admin or questions you guys have on the quiz, that sort of thing? Perfect. All right. Yeah. Sir.
Oh, what we need to know, is it on financial calculator based or calculator based?
It's normal calculator. You won't have to use any of the functions that doesn't value here. It's also a closed book. If you have a calculator on your phone, because I know some of us can use your apps, you can use that as well. And anything else on that? The time limit, you'll be somewhere around 40, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, hour. Okay. Got it. So, for those of you who had a chance to look at this, any question on this first one? Just kind of warm up. Perfect. We'll roll through this. Who knows the answer? Hey, all right. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. So this dives back into our cap rate scenario from last week a little bit. I want you guys all take a stab at working this out, and then raise your hand. Does anybody have any questions on this out of the gate? No? $10? All right, so we have one answer at $10 square foot. Who else?
Second for 10.
Second for 10? The replacement cost rent is 10. Is that what I'm hearing? Who else? Any other questions? Larry?
Wouldn't it be 20?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
Because I mean, replacement, it's gross of operating expenses, and I think the $10 a foot is, it says that's an operating cost, that's an operating expense, so.
Remember, you have gross and net replacement rent. Go 30.
I'm gonna take the over now.
So we've got 10, 20, and 30. All right, so if we work this out, we're given the cap rate, right? So what value do we need to figure out? NOI, exactly. So if our NOI is up top, and our cap rate's at 10%, and our construction costs are $200 a square foot, you invert this formula and you take 10% of 200, which gives you need an NOI of $20 per square foot. What's catchy about this is that's your net, right? Because that would be, if this is a triple net building, that would be your answer. You'd be correct. But it's not. We're adding in expenses on top of this. So you come up with this 20, and you need to add in the operating cost and vacancy allowance, which is given to you at 10, which gives you a total of 30.
That's so funny.
Here we go. Good. Is that all clear before we move on? Yes. 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 No. Okay.
One more time.
Review this. So this is on your cap rate formula. If you have any two variables, you can find your third, right?
Yeah.
The algebra component. What component do you have a question on? So basically, to find your net operating income, this number, you multiply your cap rate times your building costs.
Yeah.
20 plus 10, because it's a gross rent. So you add in your $10 in operating expenses as well. So you're basically working your way back up the setup, essentially. Starting at the bottom and going up to find what your gross rent is. Is that a good card taker?
No, yeah, it's good, but isn't that language a bit more confusing? Like when you say total development costs, I would even assume that vacancy allowance is kind of added into that. So I would have probably deducted $10 out of $200 per square feet.
Would you assume that the vacancy is added into that?
Yeah, because if you're doing the total development cost, you also, if you're adding sufficient profit onto that, you would have even added, there might be some usual vacancies, so let me add that, and what would be the operating costs on that, let me add that, so this is being, or that's completely wrong.
General thing, whenever you think about numbers, or just think about two things. What is your income, what is your expense, right? Now, whenever you want to see NOI, it's going to be your income, right? Whatever you're going to get in. So if there was no vacancy, you're going to get the 100% rent out of it, right? That's going to be all your income. So that's the reason you always remove the vacancy from the NOI. Development costs has nothing to do with your vacancy, because development cost is the cost you pay to construct a building. That's going to be the same if the building is 100% vacant or 100% leased. Yet there's no correlation between vacancy and costs. Costs are completely separate. Vacancy comes always with your incoming rental income. So you just deduct from your NOI, you deduct your vacancies to get your net rental income.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Next. Votes, where we at?
B.
One for B? You're an A? B?
Why? Why not C or D? Or...
B.
B.
Why B?
Why?
Because B's best.
Who said that? Somebody talk through it. Who wants to talk through it for us?
Why not C, for example?
Come on, don't let curiosity override, or fear override your curiosity. Somebody talk.
For C,
For C.
increasing supply will necessarily produce an increase in rent. I think increasing supply would not, because the supply is increasing, so the rent is being pressured. So that would not produce an increase in rents. So that's why it's wrong.
Yeah, there's too much competition, right? So people that want to sell are going to lower the rent so that they can attract more tenants.
Exactly, yeah. So we got C out. I heard some B and A. We kind of narrowed it down to B and A. Who wants to make a case for A and who wants to make a case for B? Laird.
I'll take A. An increase in demand will necessarily produce an increase in rents, but a decrease in demand will not necessarily produce a decrease in rents. And part of that's just the market's laggy. You've got the length of term. Long term, it definitely would, but short term, and if we're talking like within 2-3 months,
So it's long run.
Anyone for B now?
What if what if you had a lot of existing supply that demand then come in on?
Remember, real estate is long lead. You cannot demolish that.
That's why I think this is the best.
Jamie B?
Because with demand, you can increase the supply or you have supply. So it's the same, but when the demand decrease, you can decrease the supply. So that's why they went for that.
That's the answer, yes.
Is it?
Everyone clear?
Yeah.
An increase in demand might or might not increase rent. It will depend on how much vacant space you have and how much construction you can put online. While a decreasing demand, you already have a certain type of stock a certain amount of stock. If you decrease the demand, that stock is gonna still be there unless you demolish it, which doesn't happen often. So it will put downward pressure on rents necessarily. Clear? Yep. B. Votes? Matt? Alright.
I think that what we've learned is always an absolute, is that an increased radius will increase patient premiums everywhere.
Okay, any thoughts?
C?
No, they can drop the
C? D? I hear everything, okay?
Why C?
Let's make, Matt already made his case. Pinkman, what do you make yours?
I changed to D.
D?
I changed
D. Someone else?
You said C?
Hold on. E's raised their hands. E's raised their hands.
We've got a couple.
We got one, yeah.
C's. D's.
D's have it.
All right, D's have it. But why D? Mike, why D?
The improvement in transportation decreases the slope of rent gradient, and the density is decreasing.
I think it's constant.
Radius is
Oh, no, reduction in density, yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, if you draw the graph, it cuts the central business district goes, the top of the triangle goes down.
Slope of the line falls.
Just say 30.
The values will go. 30.
What's the formula for the rent gradient? You guys remember?
Cost of transportation
TC
times number of miles times number of people.
No, just the slope, not the location premium. This is slope.
Distance.
Nope.
Density?
Nope. There you go.
divide by.
Okay. So this one is going down, right? And this one is going down as well, right? So this slope is, you increase the radius, so you got, somewhere around here, but it's going down. Oops. So, oops, yeah, there you go.
You can guarantee you'll see something like this on the quiz.
Wink, wink.
Just there.
Questions? No?
So yeah.
But on the quiz, it's not multiple
On
choice.
this one, it's ambiguous at the outer
It would-
region,
we have
but
solution.
solution
It would be
B
multiple choice.
says that prices actually do go up at the periphery, so.
Yeah, because it's actually,
I mean,
like,
I
right
think
here.
without- So if the boundary moves out. then-
at the old boundary.
Okay.
That's
so-
what it means by the periphery.
Okay.
It's ambiguous between here and here, but at the periphery, it's growing.
It's here?
Yeah,
What's that Greek letter for density?
Q.
That's a nice one.
Right. Which of the following types of activity centers will expect the highest landmark?
And not on mail, we're kind enough to comb through some of these questions and put the text where you can find this in your book. For those of you who haven't been reading, it's a good idea to read, catch up on this stuff. So this will help you target if you got a cram. So you might want to leverage that. Show of hands. A. B. Okay.
C.
C. Maybe.
D.
Anybody for D?
No, D, okay.
Why? Those of you raise your hands for C. Why C? Claire?
There's only going to be one airport unless it's London or New York or something.
But isn't that like industrial area?
Self strength money.
Well, would that have the same density component? I think what this is getting at is kind of the density component.
It's not necessarily density components, it's land residual. I mean,
Okay.
You know, density is great for office, it's great for a variety of things, but it doesn't translate into money.
You were talking about location premium, Larry. It's not this, but this, right? So think about that. Would you have skyscrapers next to?
In San Diego, yeah.
Yeah, in general. I mean.
In general, what airport is in the middle of a CBD?
Who voted for A? Why? Anybody? Yeah.
I just think it's all about density, and Edge City, as large as the CBD, is gonna be the highest density up there. And so, you know, when you have your equation, you have TC times density, and density is gonna be huge.
Perfect. What's our answer now? A.
Why not? It's just about density, Michael. It's so if you remember the polycentricity. You have.
Is it just that neighborhood business district is just smaller?
Yeah, it's just that, it's just less dense. Yeah, it's just less dense, that's all.
Let's get through these guys.
All right, this is a good one.
London City.
All right, we ready to cast some votes? C. Why C?
Because the amount that is changing has been there for 5 years. Whatever, then we realize the whole land underneath doesn't really change because the fundamentals surrounding it doesn't change. And only when it becomes more or less central in comparison to everything else will that change.
Yeah, your land value stays. I think that's, you're on point with that.
Yep.
Good call. Next one, just ended multiple choice. We're gonna jump into some more of the quantitative components. 7. Yeah. So this is the depreciation equation that we discussed earlier this week. Yeah. Why don't you all take a stab at working this out? And, circle back in about 30 seconds. Sorry.
Is L your annual rate of depreciation?
That was the land gradient.
Bank fraction.
Yeah. You're gonna represent this in way of a percentage.
%.
Okay,
It's possible. You have 1 to 1.8.
any questions, raise your hand or shout or do something.
Yes. Yeah, that's just. The land gradient. Because the value of the land is.
This is what. I'm trying, but.
So remember this from this week,
Is it a 1.8?
this graph? This is the land gradient right here, remains constant, right? And then this is your property value over time. It's a call option on the development component for your land. And then this is your construction cost. And then the structure value is the delta between your call option and its highest and best use, if new. So what you're solving for here is this slope, essentially. The depreciation value annually over X number of years, 75 years, to get it to where your asset is now worth the value of the land. So we've had a couple answers thrown out. Why don't we, did everybody get 1.83%?
Yeah.
Yeah? No?
Yeah.
All right. Those of you who did, how'd you set this up? Let's just walk through it together. So you have 1 minus X. Raised, what's our T for this, our time? 75 here. And then our land value component? 0.25, right?
Yeah, just this one.
So in here is expressed as a fraction of the overall value. So in solving for X, we are going to do I think that's right. Yeah, we're good. Someone with a calculator, what's this right here? What's 0.25 raised to 1/75?
0.0133.
It's what?
0.0133.
0.0133? I don't think that's right. It should be
What do you want to know?
0.9817?
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Any questions on this thus far? I see that all right?
So, is anybody get a grade for doing all the steps correctly, but like stupid calculations? If you're wrong.
Yeah, you need to show your work on this. Because we're going to grade it based off knowing how to do it. So then this is going to give you what? 4. Does that make sense on the land?
Yeah, exactly. It's positive, which means it's depreciation. If it would be negative, it would be appreciation of the land. Just to make that clear. Any questions? No?
Feeling good? All right.
Yeah.
And that's how there's your equation right there. Feel free to work together on this. Ask the person next to you. Throw out some answers when you get there.
Okay. Okay.
Everybody coming up with, still working on it, we good?
Any 20s? Any 30s? No. 2040s?
Anybody come up with 36, 48? Good. Perfect. All right, everybody come up with a number that resembles a 24?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Any questions on how this plays out?
Is he gonna actually give us, he won't give us that equation on the quiz.
Sorry.
It's a lot easier when you just tell.
I know. We probably shouldn't have put this on.
Yeah.
You sure we can't bring like a cheat sheet?
No.
Equations are going to be.
Yeah.
You can,
It's not
but
gonna be there.
it'd be ramifications.
No,
Part of it, or we can tell them that-
All right, this was broken down into months as well. If you wanted to do it in another, you could denominate the denominator with another time period as well. Like if you took 12 off of there, it would return you 2 years. Okay, so that's just something to think about. That it doesn't necessarily have to be months supply. It could be years, weeks, days. Your call. Yes, sir.
How about the self-employed equation? Do we need to know those frameworks?
No.
No.
Not at all. That's for econ.
What equation did you ask about? Stock flow.
Yeah.
The stock flow equation. All right, the next couple get a little meatier, so we'll.
Want to write it down?
Can we erase this?
And when it says text 28.4 at the bottom,
That is.
If you want to see the relevant reading in the
the
text.
answer there. It might be a. One second. I think it's chapter. It's saying it's chapter 28. That's what it should be. Yeah, it's just the chapters and the sections.
Oh, was that on your syllabus for reading or 52? That chapter.
It says optional, I think.
Okay, so for this one, you guys want to take a stab at it first?
Just to be clear, because I want to make sure that we know like what we're responsible for. Because I
Yeah.
think that was required reading, right? Are all the optional ones gonna be on the test as well, or?
Yeah, it says 20.4 is optional, so that's.
28.4 is optional.
This is basic, like even if you don't read the reading, some problems might like this for sure might come. Something like this, just the basic DCF, what is your NOI, how would you find the rent and stuff like that.
So basic, only basic security knows what's going on.
No, you're only going to be responsible for what has been required to read. If it was optional, then I wouldn't count on seeing it on this quiz. Or if he hasn't gone over it in class, basically what's going to go on here is if he's gone over it in class, he's gone over it in homework, or it's been required reading, then it's fair game.
This though is like, this was part of the optional reading, but this is essentially like the opposite of the homework problem, where they gave you where you knew the square footage.
Yeah.
And instead of starting with the square footage and working through, this one is asking you to work backwards.
Yeah, but I had a chart that-
Yeah. You guys want to work on it, or? So why don't you guys, if you want to work on it alone or in groups, feel free. We'll give you a couple minutes, 5 minutes, and then reconvene, see what you guys come up with for answers. Get started on it. We'll check in 5. If you have a question, throw your hand up. We'll come help think through it with you.
So this is after OpEx.
So, how should we start? Any ideas?
Anyone has come up with like any steps or how you're thinking about it or how you're approaching this problem?
No.
Say again?
There's actually no cap rate there.
There's no cap rate.
9% is your interest rate. Is that what you're asking?
No, there's no cap rate. You don't need it.
There's no cap.
You don't need a cap rate for this one.
Anyone?
Anybody have any answers yet?
Or even possible steps, like how would you approach this? How would you think about like, finding an answer to something like this?
Not far off, but it's not far. Yep. You guys let me type that in. Or was it like that? Oh, you did. Awesome. Okay. No, you did it right. You need to break down your debt. Debt service. Figure out what you're gonna have to pay.
Don't you need to pass it?
Annual payment of $350.
Because it.
How much? You added your debt service. So you're right up until that point. The ROI is
So basically, most of it
times 30%. Your net purchase. And the last, what's your operating expenses?
How much?
Right there. So your lot, and that would give you $231.16. Yes. Yeah, you just didn't add in your, you did it right, but you didn't add in your operating.
I think.
Let's start
People getting anywhere with this? Like any numbers, any answers?
It's just NOI, because what you're trying to get is to your top line, your effective gross. Because you're working from the bottom.
What?
Your effective gross.
Close enough. Close enough. The answer is 6.10. Just to, I'll walk through the steps with you. Yeah.
So that would not, construction costs would not be engaged in your effective gross. Construction costs doesn't matter for you. So take out construction costs. Add your NOI plus your operating.
That's not.
So it's gonna be 131, 625.
I'm just gonna walk through.
Yeah. So what's the first step? Someone, can you anyone tell me the first step? Just the first step. Don't go.
Doesn't matter.
Just take the construction, the debt service, we're trying to calculate the debt service on the loan.
How-
The total construction cost of 1.
How do you know how much can you take out? That should be the first step, right?
See, broadly speaking, taking a step back, even before you calculate any steps, just think about it in two big ways. Like if you have to pay someone a debt service, you have taken some loan, right? How much money do you want to make essentially to survive? How will you survive? A, you have to pay for your operating costs. B, you have to pay for your debt service, right? That is the minimum amount you need to survive. So now just look at the basic broad parameters, what information they've given you, right? They've given you the costs, acquisition and construction costs. They've given you what is your estimated operating cost. Okay, so we are good there. They've given you how much loan, what is the percentage of loan you can take. And they've given you how much debt service you need to require. Everyone's clear with the debt service requirement component, how it works out, and like, do you guys understand what does 130% debt service mean?
No.
Okay. So again, see, how does it work out is, suppose today from a bank you take X amount of loan, say 100 grand, right? And if bank tells you I need a debt service of 130% or whatever, so what does that mean is, in a sense, you need to have 130 in your pocket in cash flows to pay the 100 to the bank. Got it? So it's always like higher than what you have to pay to the bank. It's a multiple like 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. That in a sense is your debt service, right? So again, see, so what you have to pay is your debt service goes to the bank, plus you're gonna pay for your operating expenses, right? These are the two major categories you want to look out for. So how are you gonna get your debt service? First, you have to calculate that. You know your acquisition construction cost, right? 150. 1.5 million, sorry, 1.5 million. And what other information we have? That's 75% maximum loan to value ratio, right? Now that is another critical information. What does that in a sense means that bank, if this is your total required money, bank is only going to give you 0.75 of this. 0.75 into 1.5. Whatever the answer comes for this one. What is the answer?
1.125.
Right. So this is in a sense what the bank is going to loan you. Okay. Now, if the bank is going to loan you this much, and what other information you have, they need a debt service ratio of 130%, right? So that means if they can loan you this much into 1.3 is what they want you at least in your NOI, right? So what will that answer be?
14625.
Yeah, sorry.
1.46.
The 131,625.
Oh, 131.
We multiply by 1.3.
Because it's
Yeah, it's 130%.
Okay. And so this is one component you've taken care of is debt service. What is the other component is your day-to-day costs that you're going to spend on the building, right? Like your janitorial costs, your maintenance costs, cleaning costs, etc., etc. All that your OPEX is going to be a separate. So that's gonna be another 100,000, which is also given already in the equation. It's given.
So you are assuming 75%.
100. So then you just like total the both things, it's gonna come up to 231.
25 back.
Now the last.
Yeah.
I understand the 125, but then if you times by the 130%, where did you get the 131,000 from?
Your maximum loan is 1,125,000.
Yeah.
Get that.
That's what you're taking out of the bank.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay that, it's interest always, or you're gonna pay how much a year? 9% of that, right? So we got 125 times 9%, you'll get to this number right here.
Okay.
125 times 9%, you get to this.
No.
So that's not
That doesn't compute.
That's what it is.
Back up again, like from the top.
Oh, they skipped that 2 steps.
Let's go over that. So you got 1.5 million times 75%. This is 125.
Yeah.
This is your loan. How much are we gonna pay in interest?
9%.
All right. Can someone tell me how much is that?
101,250.
All right. Is that the number? Yeah. Is everyone here? Yep.
Then into 1.3, this number is your debt service, which the bank will require you to have in your pocket all the time.
Okay.
Wait, what happened to the 131 number? Sorry,
Yeah,
before that was up.
So into 1.3, if you multiply this number, 130% is the debt service, right? So see, this is 101,250 is the 9% interest that you're paying, interest only loan, right?
Yeah.
Multiply that into 1.3. Okay. So you'll get 131,625.
So this is the what it's calling the service of the debt. You have this formula here which I wrote, which is debt service coverage equals NOI over debt service. They're asking that this be 130% or 1.3, right? So we already have this right here, which is our debt service, which is interest. In this case, it's just interest. It can be interest plus principal. So we already have that. We need to calculate the NOI. How do we get to that? The NOI is at 131. We have this formula right here. We have that service, and we have the coverage. So NOI would be
one last thing, 0.9%.
NOI would be debt service times coverage, right? Which would be 101,250 into 1 times 1.3, which is 131, 625. Everyone here? Everyone? Okay. So we got the NOI, right? Now we gotta go, they're asking for the minimum gross rent. We already, we already see this, but we're here at the NOI, which is the net rent. We got that the OPEX and the vacancy to get to the growth, right? So we got 131. What should I add?
100,000.
How much, sorry?
100,000 for the OpEx. Or operating costs.
And vacancy, it's included in that, I think.
No,
We're ignoring vacancy for now. So we get to 231, 625. All
What does
right.
that number mean? That number is calculated. So it's NOI plus operating costs.
So this one is NOI plus operating costs. This would be actually the effective gross income. If you sum to that vacancy, you will get to the potential growth. This would be. Now that we got that, oh yeah, actually we have the vacancy. We have a 95% vacancy, or occupancy. So we got, this would be our EGI. EGI. Now we gotta get to our PGI, which is potential gross income. How should we do that? We have 231,625.
No, you're just taking.
A bit of different way.
Why are you dividing by 0.95 and not multiplying by 0.95? Because aren't you getting
We're trying to
95?
get to your potential income. So this would be your income without vacancy. You divide it by 0.95, which is your occupancy, and then you get to.
Oh, you're just getting a bigger number. Got it.
So this is the income.
What's the unit for this? What are the units for this?
Oh, just dollars per year. Seriously.
Okay, we're getting closer. Now,
Yeah.
how do I get to the rent?
Divide by 40,000.
Well, this is the rent already, but how do I get to the unit rent?
Divide by 40,000.
How much?
I know I can have to do this. I have no idea. It's in there. But I expected you as my team.
That's true. Wish I did.
Here, I'll show you this. You can have it.
No, good. I need coffee. Hanging in
Hey,
there?
how's it going?
Huh? There?
You're killing me.
Need this? We good? You guys feeling alright about this?
Oh, I got it.
It's really easier, like when you write that out, it's up as a pro forma and just show where like, you know, it's just missing the top line.
It would be, but
I'm just saying, it's people can fall. I'm not saying like you're doing it.
that's part of the deal. Though. We need you guys to have this in your head so that you see a couple of data sets like that, you can put it all together.
No, I mean,
You can't make it too easy.
any ideas?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's 25, yeah, I have that. The premium for transport.
So let's do something. Let me write.
Which is the radius of the city? 17.3. The maximum rent at the center? 7.
We have 5 people. People vacated.
It's not gonna happen. Trying to say.
Correct.
That's how I feel about it.
And that gives you your potential. So it's just a matter of working. No, you're exactly. Yeah.
So we gotta calculate. This. How do we start?
You want to find the radius of the city?
Okay, we gotta find the radius. How do we do that?
You
What do we
find
need for that?
how many people live per square mile.
We need the area, right, from the city. Right. What's the area? We got that a city with 3 million people, and there's 5 million people per acre.
Oh,
5 people.
Eric?
We divide 3 million by 5. We'll get 600,000 acres.
We gotta go to miles though, right? Because we have the transportation cost in miles. One square mile equals 640 acres. So how do we get to miles or miles?
937.5.
How much is that?
937.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, ranges. Formulas, someone?
640.
I square.
I don't hear you. What? What's the formula? Or the ranges of circle?
Point of the area divided by the feet.
Or let's do it another way. What's the formula of an area?
I square.
Very square. There you go. Okay. Could you take this break this down? Okay.
17.2.
Okay, so we got our city has 17.2 miles. Okay.
I hope he's like that when he's
Okay,
marking
so what are the rents here? First we have what? Okay, how much that?
Give us.
How much is that?
No. 5,000.
5,000. That's cost per house. What's this? What are the units for this? There are 5 inhabitants. Dollars
Per year, per acre.
acre. Per year, okay. Wait, well, we got 5 people and 1 people per house. 25, okay, which is 5,000. 25,000. So we already know how much is the rent in the periphery, right? 25. Right. What else? What do we need to calculate now? What's it?
Why do you come back? I think you are leaving.
Excuse me, would you mind moving because you're blocking the elevations for this guy?
So we got 250 times.
Isn't it your radius? No.
Same time.
So that was transportation. Okay.
Times 5.
How do you do that?
Is this rent per acre or rent per home?
So how much is that?
Per dwelling, I think. Or it's per acre, sorry. It's per acre, which is why the construction is
Yeah, I'm doing the units, so you see how they.
No, but you can't multiply, you have to different rotations first.
No, I mean, you can multiply this, you're gonna have the sum of the union. This would be dollars.
By the way, the baseball last night was like super slow.
Okay, so we have the slope.
Really?
This
It took me
slope right
like
here.
2 hours before anyone could run.
Well,
0-0. Innings. The first 6 innings were 0-0.
what else? How do we get to the location premium? That's right here.
Do you keep the per person or does that go to acres? Because you.
It's, what do we make?
Yes.
Density in miles.
Yeah, because the people would, you're right, the people would cancel out, wouldn't they? Because it's $5 per people and
This is,
dollars per person.
we have people here as well.
Yeah.
Miles per people, so it. Where's my back?
Miles per acre. Like,
So, what's the location premium at the center? We already have the slope. And we have the size. The radius.
Is it your transportation cost times your radius?
Just in case doing the units.
His cues. And your
You see,
question.
miles go with miles, and then you got dollars per year per acre. How much is that?
wait, what? Can you
Yeah.
say what's the last sentence?
The units for the rent rating are dollars per mile, per year, per acre. You multiply it by the radius, which is in miles. This one cancels out with this one. And then you got dollars, the location premium, which is what we're calculating. So it's right here. It's dollars per year per acre, which is the same as this units here, rents.
By location for that means the Y intercept?
Sorry?
That's the intercept?
What?
The Y.
Yeah.
The Y intercept.
There's only
What?
Never mind. It's the peak. Yeah. Which is the intercept,
So how much is this?
21,500.
21.
21,500. It's just the premium, not the total.
21. 21.
6.5. 21,500.
This is the location premium here. This one, this right here. So what would be the rent in the center? We already have this,
46.7.
and this.
47,000.
So it'll be 500 plus 25,000 plus 21,000, right? We'll get to what, 47?
46, 750.
Yeah. Right. Dollars. Per year, per acre. Yeah, I mean, that's just my memory. I don't know if it's.
Kind of next to now, is he gonna-
Go back for 1 second. Just 1 second back.
Yeah. There?
Yeah.
Should have got that.
Mine's about 10 times more confusing. I think I got that with a plus on. That's good money.
These are gonna be on sales, right?
That's the newer one. Those are good.
Okay, now the CD increases by 10%, but the density is the same.
So wait, sorry, just to wrap up on the last previous question, if we saw something like this in the quiz, these are the points that we would have, these are the only points that we have.
Your answer would be this one?
If they ask you the rents
So-
on the periphery, it will be this one. If they ask you the rents at the center.
Well, the question was like draw the diagram and, you
You
know,
gotta
show.
draw this and indicate this rent and that rent. And obviously how you got there is you know,
This is just, okay.
what the answers to that question.
Or the top, okay.
All right, new populations. The faces now.
God, do it all over.
New populations, 3.3. Yeah, we gotta calculate again the
Area.
area. Right. What's in your area?
Get to it.
That's 8%.
Yeah.
CC construction. I thought it was structure. Evo CC. I think you're right.
Are you pulling for the Red Sox on this one?
3.3 divided by
Might want to walk.
1,031 square miles.
And they lost.
Yeah.
That was a given. Did you at least see one run?
Yeah, the Red Sox got first and then 10th place got like 6 and 1 innings.
That's a good inning.
It was against the Red Sox. I had a bird, that was it.
What?
A bird.
Everybody clear up to this point? Yes? Yeah. You can use the quiz, you can use one decimal. Or no decimal at all.
So is, would you have a policy that you prefer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's easier for us. Okay, next step. What's the question? Natural rent and median too. So what? We already have agricultural rent, we have 500, construction rent, which it's some change right now. 25,000.
The rent rate.
Now we gotta calculate the location premium, right?
The rent's the location.
Rent gradient, it's, okay. What's this?
69. Yeah, yeah. Well, if the rent gradient stays the same, the location premium is the gradient.
22.
Location premium.
Oh, right, that's really right.
So we add all that up.
Add that
If we add all this up,
Yeah.
what do we get? Yeah, well, conceptually. What is it? Rent incentive, right? Okay.
I have 48,150, more or less.
48. 150. What's the rent at the boundary?
It's gonna be the same.
Right, how much that?
25.5.
Right.
I just got scared.
Would he ever ask for the rent of the old person?
Right. Questions so far? No? What's the rent at the old?
Still 25,500.
Oh, now.
Oh.
So let's just do a little diagram of what we have so far.
It's the rent sum, so it's 250 plus. 26.
So the new rent, the rent at the old boundary would be our boundary rent. 25 plus this differential right here, right? Yes?
Yeah.
All right.
What does he have up there? ARCC and then what? On the top.
Land premium.
LP land premium. Yeah.
Yeah, you just take the difference between the radiuses. Radii.
Location premium old boundary would be
Radius 2 minus radius, or yeah, radius 2 minus radius 1
yeah, this. Okay, good.
Times 1250.
So new rent at the old boundary. 25.5 plus 11.25. Great. All right. Now, last question. Difference just around percentage change in central rent and all boundary rent. First, what's your intuition about it? Which one's going to increase more and which one's going to increase less?
Periphery increases more.
Or the old periphery.
Yeah, the old, this one right here. Yeah. Which one's going to increase more? All periphery.
Periphery.
So we have old boundary. What's the normal?
Everybody going? Is David going quick too?
What?
David going because nobody knows. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Oh, no drag. I am a bit. Yeah.
Been lost. No, he didn't stay with it in the first part. Really? If we have to know this by heart, oh yeah. Hemorrhaging people.
I wish I had a bottle of wine right now.
Yeah, I'd be asleep if I had that. See how much we can get from the Craigslist. That's not 4.4%.
Well, Saturday.
Do we have more questions? Or is it the last?
Yeah, is this on the quiz? Is this on the quiz? Not these numbers, but this question.
So, any advice on what to expect?
So, like, kind of a hint for you guys, try doing the exercises on the book. Usually, you guys figure that, take some of this, some of the questions out of the book.
Okay. From chapter 1 to 6.
Sorry, not those.
Yeah,
Specific chapter or? Yeah, that's really an entire book, man. Like, it's ours. Chapter 6. Yeah, 1 through